Hey folks, welcome to Over 50 Starting Over. I'm Barry Edwards, and in this interview, I am once again with my friend Jim Paluch, and we talk about the little things that can make your day a little bit better. And building on that, he brings his common sense street approach to the conversation, his easygoing persona, and it's just a nice friend-to-friend conversation on what the theme of the show. Let's just get a little bit better every day in our personal lives and our professional lives. Hope you enjoy it. And hey guys, don't forget to sign up at over50startingover.com and sign up at Apple Podcasts. Please leave us a 5-star review so we can reach more people. Thanks. Hey everyone, welcome to Over 50 Starting Over. I'm Barry Edwards, and I'm once again here with my friend, author Jim Paluch. And Jim is the author of The Depressed Motivational Speaker. And we've gone over this before. It's a fantastic book with a fictional run through, look at depression. And I stress the fictional part because it's a story that lays out I'd say beginnings of depression, how they manifest, how they destroy, and even a look at a proposed way of coming out of it, a very nuanced way of coming out of it. Jim, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Always so good to connect up with you, Barry. It's so funny. If it's okay to let people in on this, we just had maybe 10 or 12 minutes of talking.
Yeah.
Everyone, it was probably the best part of the podcast, and we didn't tape it. So hopefully we can get better from here.
We'll recapture.
Well, yeah, and grow from here. That was a good foundation.
Well,
y'all should have been there.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. We were laying a foundation of why talking about depression is so important. It's hugely important because it's been on the rise throughout the country, throughout the 21st century. I think, Jim, that we have gotten, as a society, we've gotten away from the basics, and religion's a part of that. I'm not a religious person. I've said this in the last podcast. It sounds so corny. I'm very spiritual. I believe in my higher power. I believe in my connectedness to this world and the importance of the humility that brings to it. I think we've gotten away from that for a very large part, and that gets filled with anxiety. It's certain anxieties, when there's always a hope and a guidance and things like that come with religion, but also the advent of the internet. Mostly the advent of the internet made us just smart enough to be dangerous now, because it's in its maybe adolescence, probably not even adolescence yet, meaning us as users. We're still not that used to it. We're still, older people are still just a little bit of afraid of it. Afraid where to comment, where to sign up for things and things like that. So there's a lot of statistics that show depression and suicide has been on the rise. And you know what? Then we had COVID. COVID exacerbated all of it. It got us more lonely, more isolated, and more on the internet and social media where people are bullying each other. So that is why I once again want to talk about your book, because I think it's very constructive. You've done things like this your entire career. Do you want to tell us about the personal consistency thing that you've had for years?
We have just, and real quick, and maybe it'll be a great thing to come into a future podcast around. We could even take people through it. Probably 25 years ago in sessions, the first one I think was down in Miami on South Beach. I can remember people getting excited about it and what they were talking and what it helped them to do, but to start to learn about what are the consistency factors that help us to have a great day, and what are the inconsistency factors that we know that if we do those things, it's going to take away from that great day. So in a little creative way, I would have people draw pictures. What does a great day look like? Stick figures and amoebas. It didn't matter what they look like. It's just so they could think about it. Yeah. And they would identify things like maybe reading books or paying attention to goals or eating a good breakfast. Those were consistency things. If they did that, chances were they were going to have a better day. Inconsistency factors could be playing snooze button tag or eating overeating chicken wings and blue cheese dressing and
Sounds good though.
Yeah, it does. It does. It does. Or not exercising, or being majoring in the minor things and minoring in the major things, and we had maybe 20 or 30 of those inconsistency factors, 20 or 30, and people would identify those from their pictures and then learn to measure every day how much they would let those into their lives. And of course, we want to let the consistency factors into our lives each and every day and keep the inconsistency factors out of our life. And we all love to keep score. We all love to measure. We all love graphics. Yeah, we gamified it. Very well said. And then had people starting to share how they were doing a month later, 2 months later, 3 months later. And well, Barry, and we'll get into it again, maybe some other time, but it just worked because it was small steps to create awareness. I could do it. It's fun. And I feel good doing it. If we feel good, we'll come back and do it. So even if you cheated, we used to tease, even if you cheated a little bit, at least you knew you cheated and you knew what you should be doing, you know what? Aware.
I'll tell you what, I always give the same advice about exercise and working out. I say the worst thing that we do here in America, and we do it with everything, is we set our standard way too high. I'm going to work out 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, and go to the gym. Oh, you got too sore the first time, you got turned off. Look, I say, find something that you enjoy. And if you do 75% of what you intended, call it a good day, as long as you come back the next time.
Yes.
And so it's like what you're saying with the personal consistency thing. First of all, there's a personal responsibility to it. I like that a whole lot. I think we blame too much, more and more so today. That it takes responsibility off ourselves. And at the end of the day, the responsibility for our own lives is all we really have. So if you give that away, you're lost to begin with. So I love the idea of that. Do you want to get back to the book, the depression, how it infiltrated our society? Because go ahead.
I just wrapping up. I promise we'll come back and do a podcast around that. We'll put up some of the things, even challenging maybe some people to figure out their own consistency and inconsistency factors and show the concept, and hopefully your viewers and followers can build from it. But it's worth doing. We'll come back and do that. And I think getting back to the book, but more importantly, getting back to even what you were starting with, of just depression, suicide, the things that are on the rise that are just, I feel they don't have to be.
They don't. It's stinking thinking.
Yeah.
It's the habit. And I want to get back to that, because the most important and impressive thing about your book that I've never heard before is how you took the proposed cure for this depression as, let's examine how we've been thinking and the problem. And it's such a slow, insidious process. So you have to unwind that, and you have to change the habit of how you think. Jim, first of all, I just want to throw a couple things out there. This from the World Health Organization, just a couple key facts. Depression is a common mental disorder. Globally, it's estimated that 5% of adults suffer from depression. Depression is a leading cause of disability worldwide and is a major contributor to the overall global burden of disease. More women are affected by depression than men. Depression can lead to suicide. There is an effective treatment for mild, moderate, and severe depression. Those are just some quick key facts from the WHO. Now, do remember that they said depression is more common in women rather than men. Yet when I go to the CDC.gov website with stats and charts, men have far more suicide, a higher rate of suicide. So severe depression apparently is much more common in men. So just to read a couple of things, I'll throw a couple of things up on the screen. Let's see, groups that have radically disproportionate high rates of suicide. So this is by race. American Indians and Alaskan Natives top the list at nearly 24%. That's pretty amazing. Next, underneath of that, white people. And underneath of that, Native Hawaiian, other Pacific Islander. And after that, multiracial, then Black, then Hispanic. And at the bottom, Asian. And you want to know why bottom is Asian, in my opinion, by far, because they have the highest percentage of nuclear families. That it's their family is much tighter with Asians. That's why they have such a higher rate in college of graduation and excelling in education because of the family aspect to it. So of course they have the lowest rate of suicide. I think that we should, suicide. I think we should take something from that. And then suicide rate among males in 2020 was 4 times higher than the rate among females. There is something so wrong with what we're doing with men today. I think that there's the toxic masculinity push. I hope that that's been dying down. And well, I'll just leave that there for now. We're on to other things.
Barry. Just wow. And thanks for sharing that. The statistics and the things. For one, I think it's very, very hard to get accurate statistics.
It always is
on it. Even, it's hard for the World Health Organization or the CDC. And in my small sampling of the emails that are starting to come back from the book, that people that have read the book, and the comments that have come in, we appreciate that. And if you read an author's book, send them an email, because it always makes them think. It's very good. When I get one, it makes them think, and it's helpful, and they get better. I feel I have gotten better by the emails that have come back to me since the book has been written. But one of the things that I've recognized is, I believe it is much higher than 5% of adults. I believe, sure. Because
I'd say 30, 40.
Yeah,
I really would.
Because there's so many people that are not wanting to talk about it, are not wanting to share that, hey, I get down. Hey, I think about dark thoughts on more than one occasion. And so I think it's much higher. Interesting to think about the people and the numbers and who is the highest with the Alaskan and Native Americans.
Yeah.
And so I wrote down 2 words. I just thought isolation and connectivity. That
yes,
isolation is a scary thing when we're alone with our thoughts. Unless the thoughts are right up there, our thoughts can take us to places that we just don't want to go. And day after day after day of isolation, or not a feeling of connectivity and interdependence upon a family, or in an organization, or a team. So I think those are some things that are really interesting to bring into it. And so how do we make some sense out of that as individuals?
We also got to remember, COVID exacerbated all of that. So that's 2020 numbers that barely getting started with COVID. Now I'd love to see the numbers on the other side of 2022. It's really messed up a lot. It's messed up a lot of small businesses, which leads to a lot of problems, depression, alcoholism, and different things like that. So we've been kind of going into something of I don't want to say a tailspin, but we definitely have been not going in the right direction with depression, negativity. You said isolation, and it's the thing these days to get online and separate yourself with hatred. Pick your side, dig in, and destroy the other side, because they're the enemy. And it's horrible. I don't remember if I said to you off camera or on camera, but I was thinking this morning about the saying, united we stand, divided we fall. We grew up with that. Nobody says
Yeah.
that anymore.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because that is the problem. You got to understand that. United we stand, divided we fall. Our politicians love to have us divided. They're so corrupt that they can sneak anything in under the radar as long as we're fighting about race and gender.
Yeah. Divided we can conquer, and divided we can conquer, whether it's, and I think that's a strategy that's being used, and yet coming back to isolation and connectivity and tailspins and all of those are symptoms of a bigger thing. And I think the greatest thing is to go and into ourselves and go, I wonder why. I really wonder why. What is the root cause to this? And I think, Barry, it's just something that we've studied for years. It's something we've taught in our street smart approach to creating greater attitudes and greater teams and success in individuals. Is what are we thinking? What are we thinking at any given time? What questions?
A lack of appreciation, for sure.
Yeah. It is knowing. There's a wonderful word that I've been interested in, and it come for a long time. First time I heard it was back in college when I read Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, and arete, arete. It's a wonderful word to look up. It is talked about a lot in Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, where Robert Pirsig talks about arete is a Greek word that is about excellence and quality, and being committed to living in an arete way is what we all strive for. It's what we all want. And so,
but do we today? I think most of us want to get free stuff. Because I think what you're saying, here's something that a lot of people don't seem to understand, is that life by its very condition is a struggle. And we have to learn how to overcome struggles. And that's what makes you feel great. That's what makes you excel, but it gives you a sense of well-being too.
So we have to strive. We have to work toward a consistency of how are we living? Are we living our life in a quality way? Are we living it in pursuit of excellence? And here's the interesting thing. I believe that we all know what living it in the right way is. I believe that with something's inside of us. I believe the good Lord has put a conscience in us that we know good and evil. It is just when we allow evil to lie to us in such a way that we start believing it. We know good and bad. We know that if we hit the snooze button 3 or 4 times, play snooze button tag, and then get up, we are probably going to be late for work as we back over the garbage cans running out and beeping at everybody that's in our way because we're blaming them because we hit the snooze button. We know that.
We're creating anxiety within ourselves, and that anxiety is telling us all day long that you're doing things the wrong way, and we're not listening.
So the snooze button is a very, very oversimplified, but really very accurate.
It's a good indicator.
It is. It's something you can kind of build a thought around. So what if just tomorrow, I don't care about the rest of my life, but what if just tomorrow I don't hit the snooze button? Let me just get up and see what happens. I might even watch the sun come up, eat some peanut butter and toast, or whatever it is, be able to get the kids out but just for tomorrow. That's all I've got to do it. That could be such a great win that for a moment, our self-esteem or our self-awareness or our desire to treat ourselves better just went up. We go to bed that the next night, we think, wow, I wonder if I could do that again. Man, if I do it again tomorrow, that'd be 2 days in a row. I'm just going to see if I can do it. And off it goes. I believe there's a large percentage that will hit the snooze button. I'd hate to say that,
For sure.
but there will be. But there's also those that will not. And now they've got 2 days, and now they've got 3 days and 4 days, and oops, I missed it. And then becomes an important decision, just like missing running or missing exercise or missing something that makes us feel good. We've got to, it's okay. If we're good to ourselves, oops, we missed it. Oops, I cheated on my meal. That's okay. Enjoy it. Become back to what is right. Robert Persick says in the book, I believe it's one of the first lines in the book, what is right, Phaedrus? We know what is good and what is evil. Do we really need someone to tell us? And I think we know what we should be doing. The folks that you talk about that are leaving nasty, ugly posts and such at the end of a CNN or a Fox News, they know
Yeah.
They know this is not getting us where we need to be, but it sure is justifying why I feel bad about something. And
give me a little dopamine hit in the moment.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm waging a little war against the evil other side. Yeah. That's really what it is.
Yeah. And yet, who is the war really with?
Your brethren.
Yeah. Ourselves. It's this battle of the white shoed demon, as we write about in the book, that is just puking all over our brain, man, just giving it to us. And we allow that to happen. Some, when we can become aware of that and stop it and realize is that really true what you're saying? Is it really true that I should hit the snooze button? Is it really true that why am I so angry at they? I mean, is somebody really going to take my gun? Are they really going? And that's just an example. Why are we allowing ourselves to get there? Yeah. And I think if we can ask ourselves some better questions and starting to understand that what's next for me as it relates to really where I want to be. And if it is towards happiness, or if it's towards a dark horse and an ugliness, well, keep doing what you're doing because you're getting good at it. That'll get you there. But if we want it to be towards something better, let's just make better choices and better awareness of what's next. Doesn't mean getting there. We were talking off camera about you go to the gym and man, okay, that's it. I'm going to get in shape. So we bench press more than we should, or we run 5 miles instead of walking a half mile. And the next morning our body goes, listen, you knucklehead, if you think I'm going back to that gym to feel like I'm feeling today, you're nuts.
Right.
But little bit by little bit.
Another thing you made me think of a second ago, this can't be stated enough, is for that percentage of people that will still hit the snooze alarm the next day, there's some other things. There's some more beginner steps that I think you need to take into consideration. And that is, in today's society, Jim, I know that you know this, we are in the media and on our TV programming, our movies, all of that, we're proliferated with darkness. Everything's dark. Every movie's dark. Every show is dark. And it just will weigh on you if that's what you're going to bed to. So, take a look at that. Maybe you can find a little bit of more hopeful programming, some documentaries. I mean, there are amazing documentaries out there, but there's also lighter stuff. There is the dumbest show I've ever seen. It's so light, it's beyond belief, called The Good Place. It's on Netflix or Amazon or something. I guess it's pretty popular. but I'd like to put that on sometimes before I go to bed, because it's like, I don't care if I fall asleep during it. But I think that's a good beginning place to look at if you just can't seem to make any progress. Give that some thought. I want to share one final chart with you, a few statistics that I think you'll find interesting. And this is suicide rate by age groups. We didn't talk about that. People 85 or older have the highest rates of suicide. And maybe you could say, well, yeah, they're in various pain, well, that's at 20.9% of suicides, but right under that 75 to 84, 18.4%. But you know who's tied with that one? 25 to 34-year-olds. That is disturbing right there. So it's across the board. It's just, you can't just point in one place whatsoever.
Yeah. Where do you think the thought of isolation comes into that and connectivity?
Oh, man, a lot of places. First of all, I don't care if you were 13, 14, or 15, or 16, 17, 18, or 19, 20, 21, you're in these important areas of your life that you went through COVID and you went through forced isolation, and we did it badly. It could have been done so much better. And I hate to say it, but the teachers really wanted to hang on to that. They really didn't want to go back to school. And so this really messes up with these kids in really formative periods of their life. All those different phases that I just mentioned, it's going to have a lifelong lasting effect that there's some hard wiring that goes on at that time. Our brains are not fully formed neurologically until like 25 years old, for God's sakes. So I think the concepts of, first of all, recognizing that you may be susceptible to depression, maybe some of the isolation had in any age group, especially, hey, over 50, that if you're susceptible to depression, you might want to start taking a look at your behavioral thinking patterns. You might need to get some therapy. I've tried a few different antidepressants myself. Two different ones, I think. I didn't like either. And I got a dog instead. And you know what? That worked. Gets me outside, gets me walking, and he makes me so happy. So, because I battle the seasonal affective disorder. That has really worked for me. But I'm going to say that I know antidepressants probably have saved a lot of lives. So maybe you want to give that a try if you're struggling.
Yeah. There's options.
Yeah, there are always options.
As long as we can, first, we have to come to some place. We have to come to some place where we decide what's next. Am I happy on this path? Am I happy being unhappy? Or am I feel like I'm on the path that I want to be on? It's okay. We talk about there's a lot of happy people out there. So it's good if I'm on the right path, or if I need to tweak it a little bit, that's awesome. But somewhere along the line, we have to make a choice and then begin to follow through on it. I like what you said. There's a wonderful Lucas Nelson, Willie Nelson's son song that is "Shut Off the News and Grow a Garden with Me" is the name of the name of it's scary how good it is. And John Prine has one that's called blow up your TV, throw away your newspaper. And so there's some good advice in that. But no, I didn't, I love what you said. I didn't like the antidepressants, so I got a dog. Yeah. And then you followed it up with, what did the dog do? I got outside. Yep. And I got focused on walking and got focused on something outside of myself. Yeah. I believe when I think of 85s being at 20.9% of the suicides coming from that group, what are they sitting and thinking? Who are they concerned about? Isolation. Yeah, they're thinking about, they never call me, they never do this, they never see me, this. Maybe all true statements, but it's grown to dominate their thoughts. And
Yes.
and so watching what's dominating our thoughts when it's really focused on us. And I've said it, and it's in the book, the idea of focusing on what's happening through us instead of what's happening to us. And even if what's happening through us is a letter that we write to an isolated friend every week or once a month, doing some small thing, and then just continue to build on it. This idea, practicing doing the right things right. We were talking about that earlier. And that's back to the personal consistency, which we'll get to, and we'll maybe in a future podcast. But the idea of practicing, just doing it a little bit better, a little bit better. And then pretty soon we look back and we realize that I've come a long ways in a short amount of time. I've come,
Yes.
And I think taking control of it and being the victor instead of the victim sort of thinking.
Really good way to put it.
Yeah, it is a much better approach to it, because all of us, the beauty of what we're talking about, all of us have that opportunity. It's not something that a wealthy person can have, or an educated person can have, or a lucky person can have. All of us. I think it was William James back in the early 1900s said that the most influential thing that every individual has is the ability to change their attitude, to change their thoughts, the way they look at life. We have that ability. It's a choice. And wow, think about what you can do as an individual, we can do as individuals when we choose to improve ourselves, get focused on helping other people. We can have a tremendous impact. I'll come up for air. Yeah,
I want to recap some really important things that you just said here and that we've kind of brought together. So if you're not feeling the best mentally, let's just put it that way. You don't have to label it depression. Maybe you just have some dark thoughts. This podcast is all about getting just a little bit better every day, just a little bit, personally and professionally. This is what we're doing here. So if you're feeling like you're not having the best of thoughts, here are some things that you can do. Watch what you're taking into your brain on television, on social media, and how you're doing it on the internet. The internet is a terrific place for you to gain better thoughts and thinking. And if you know what you're doing, if you're aware that you are trying to be mentally hijacked at all times here in America, by your politicians, by your news brought to you by Pfizer, by the social media and all of the bots, Russian and China bots that are out there trying to manipulate your thinking into hateful, divisive stuff. If you recognize that and you can meander through that path and try to leave that online world a better place when you sign off, then you're onto something there. Another thing you could do, Jim, that you just mentioned, reach out to someone, reach out to a friend, your mother, a relative that you may not have talked to, a sibling, and make their day just a little bit brighter. It's just a phone call. Volunteer. Find some volunteer work to do. Anything you can do to help somebody is going to make you feel better and brighter and so on. But get outside and take a walk. One thing I wanted to say about getting the dog and getting outside. Well, Lisa and I had a 4-year gap between dogs. And it took me about 2 years before I realized this simple fact. I said to Lisa, even though I go to the gym regularly, I'm still missing out on about at least 7 hours a week of exercise, of walking that dog every day. And so I now have not just walking, but being outside, the exercise and being outside. So these things are super important. Just wanted to stress that you have things at the tip of your fingertips that you can put into action right now.
It is. It is, and we can all do it. It's a choice that we can. It's a choice that we can. that we can make. And so making the right choices starts with how we get up tomorrow morning, not hitting the snooze button tag and or hitting the snooze button, doing the things that are going to put us in a place to win, put us in a place to win. And you're worthy of winning. They're so feel worthy of it. And I think it's well, Barry, I'd love to come back with the thought of doing a personal consistency session with your listeners.
Would love to. I think they'd really like that.
Yeah, it's a fun thing to work through, and it's always good for me. Every time I present it to a group, I get a little better. To teach is to learn again, and I think that's a positive thing for me. And I love the process, and I know it works for people.
I really appreciate that, Jim. And I want to mention the book again, the Depressed Motivational Speaker. And I want to say again, the reason that you should read it is because of how he lays out the problem of bad habitual thinking and how to turn that around into making it good habitual thinking. So thank you a lot for that. And hey, everybody, sign up at over50startingover.com and you'll get all of this great new stuff as it happens right into your email box. All right. Thanks a bunch.
Thanks, Bear.